Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Power Vacuum. I'm your host Belmont, and this is a review for Dune Prophecy Episode 4. This will have a spoiler warning, this is your spoiler warning, because I'm going to be talking about what happened in this episode, because I pretty much need to, because my worries about this show are coming to pass. It seems like it's getting worse with every episode. Episode 3 is by far the worst so far, with just a ton of backstory. But this one did not help at all. And I think it is currently suffering from too many main characters syndrome. I don't know if there's a specific name for that. I'm sure there was at one point. Lost syndrome, maybe, because Lost seemed like it had too many main characters. But I don't know who the main character is anymore. I don't know if it's supposed to be Desmond Hart. I don't know if it's supposed to be Valia Harkonnen. I don't know if it's supposed to be her sister. Tula might be her name. I can't remember right now. I don't know if it's supposed to be... I'm going to call her Tula. Tula's apprentice, which is the one who was a descendant of the founder of the Bene Gesserit, who is the self-fulfilling prophecy, the one that prophesies the death and rebirth and the spice, which was a red herring to make you think that they were talking about Desmond, because then the Mother Superior straight up says, oh, it's Desmond. But it's just her. I don't know if it's the Emperor's daughter is supposed to be one of the main characters. The Emperor himself seems like he's kind of a main character, but he gets a lot of side noted. I don't know if it's supposed to be the Atreides guy, which is the weapons master of the Emperor and the one training the Emperor's daughter. It's just, there's so many characters now, and then there's a bunch of stuff that I am not familiar with in the Dune universe that I assume is an invention of Frank Herbert's son, and it's from his trilogy. That is basically what this show is based off. But they just keep doing like these awkward cliffhangers with no explanation, and yeah, I don't like it. It's starting to get annoying. The show is down to like a 5.5, maybe a 6 on the good end. It's just a jumbled mess of too many plot lines now. And if this were supposed to be like a regular season of like 13 episodes or even 10, I think they might be able to wrap up everything with a nice, neat little bow. But there's only 2 more episodes left, and at this point, it's going to feel super rushed in order to get everything that they've set up finished in a proper way where the writing makes sense and it's not like just, contrived and forced. But I don't see that happening at this point, just because they've overplayed their hand. They've spread themselves too thin. Any analogy you can think of that, equals that statement, basically. Any idiom, any idioms that you can think of that also fit it. It's just... So basically what happens in this episode is there's a plot to kill the Emperor. They get it set in motion, and then the Mother Superior, Valia Harkonnen, is in touch with the people who are orchestrating the plot, and she's gonna stop the plot at the last minute, become the quote-unquote savior of the Emperor, and get back in his good graces because he's ostracized her. And then they're trying to figure out where Desmond Hart plays in all this, and like that's the main line. The B plot is, we'll see. I don't know what the B plot is. It's either there's a B and a C. I'll go ahead and say the B plot is Desmond Hart himself and what he's doing, his powers, how he got them. He got eaten by Shai Hulud, and he's got some sort of crazy psychic powers now, but using them injures him. When he uses them, it's kind of like the oh shit, what was that movie? The Covenant, I think. Ooh, maybe not. That's that movie where they have superpowers, but whenever they use them, it slowly kills them. It's basically that. And then the C plot is the Sisterhood, and Tula Harkonnen. God, I think that's her name. I might be getting that wrong. I don't know, but it's Valia's sister, and she's like basically running the Sisterhood while Valia's off trying to build her family name back up, which is kind of a D plot. Even there's even a D plot in this, but we'll get to the C plot first, and that's the sisters, the apprentices. I don't know what they officially call them. They're all having like the same dream, and it's like a nightmare, and it's basically I can't tell if it's supposed to be like a Fremen or like a spice user with the blue and blue eyes, or if it's supposed to be a thinking machine, because spoiler alert, again, I already said spoilers, the sisters use an AI to help them with their breeding program. And I don't know if it's supposed to be like that, becoming sentient and projecting itself into their dreams, or if it's a like hint of the Kwisatz Haderach with the blue and blue eyes, looking at them through the veil, through the darkness. It seems like it might be a machine because it's got like that machine voice thing, but it also has the Spacing Guild voice. It's very hard. They don't distinguish between them very well, because the Spacing Guild, when they speak, they have like a very machine sounding voice, which they have yet to appear in this from what I've seen. But it could be something to do with that. I don't know. But they're all the sisters are having the same dream, and like they make them do this exercise where like they draw out what their dreams are, and they all draw something different at first. Then they all draw the dunes of Arrakis. Then they all draw the eyes peering from the darkness. And they're like, oh, there's something, and one of them's like, God is watching us. And it's kind of like a loose end. Then that one girl that gives them the prophecy about being born born in blood and then born in spice comes back because Tula's been keeping her on life support in like a spice tank. So the question is, did she die though? Like, is she the one that died? Is it still Desmond? They've now set it up to where it could be either of them, because you don't know if that girl actually died because she was being kept alive. So she didn't really die and come back yet. She was suspended and then recovered, is how it could be played out. And then there's the D plot where Valia is reestablishing the Harkonnen name and gets all her truthsayers that are working with all the various noble houses to convince them to turn, or well, not really turn against the Emperor, but to expose the Emperor's lies about him protecting Desmond Hart as the murderer of that guy's son in the first episode, by calling him out. But none of them have the courage to do it themselves, so the truthsayers are all like, oh, well, you should get somebody else to do it, a lesser house, by well, what do they call it, promoting him to the great houses, and then using him as like a figurehead to do the things that they're not brave to. And Valia sets it up to where Harkonnens get promoted from a lesser house to the Landsrad as a greater house. And, I guess they set up why the Harkonnens are now in the Great House. This still also doesn't explain how the Atreides get into the Great House, because right now, as it stands, the only Atreides in the show that's still alive is the weapons master, who's a fucking rebel that tried to kill the Emperor. Or was plotting to kill the Emperor. I shouldn't say he tried, because he never actually like went through with it, because he stopped at the last minute, but then it didn't matter because the weapon was seized. But it's just crazy. There's just too many plot lines going on, and it's getting jumbled. It's becoming like this, like, they're not really interwoven with each other. They all seem to be their own threads. The only ones that really overlay with each other is Desmond Hart's story, and then the rebel story that are trying to take out the Emperor. But then they conclude that storyline by capturing the vast majority of the rebels, and one of the High Council houses that was plotting with them. He gets taken out. Well, I guess that now there's another opening. So I guess the Atreides guy could step in and be like, my house wants to come into this. Because I guess his father's still alive, or well, they haven't established that whether or not the Atreides father, the one that survived the genocide, whether or not he's still alive. His son is the weapon master, but I guess we'll have to see if they can finish that plot line, or if they care to, in the next 2 episodes. I don't know if this has got a second season plan, but it certainly needs one. It doesn't. Well, I shouldn't even say it needs a second season. It needs to be a full order. They need to stop doing these like micro seasons or these half seasons, and they need to go the full like 13 episodes on stories like this, so they can actually like tell the story completely and wrap it up. Because this isn't going to be able to be concisely wrapped up in 6 episodes. I just don't see it. Like, I feel that it's going to just keep going downhill from here. I was really hoping it would level out. This episode was like better overall than the previous episode, but when I tie it into the series as a whole, it brings it down because now it's just too much. There's too many main characters. There's too much going on, and I don't know if they're going to have the time or if they're going to make the effort to actually wrap everything up appropriately, because it's getting out of hand. It's really getting out of hand with these like plot lines. And it's like I said, there's like a D story, maybe even an E story. They ended the episode with this nonsense of the Mother Superior brought a sister with her, and it's alluded to the reason she brought her is because she needed her to do something, that she has a special gift that she swore she would never do again, because when you watch her do it, it seems like it causes her pain. I'm not sure, but she can basically shapeshift into, I guess, anyone, and she shapeshifts into Valia Harkonnen's dead brother, and she's like basically reaffirming all her actions through his voice, like, yeah, you did the right thing, I made my own decisions. But I have no way of knowing if she's actually channeling the dead yet. Maybe they'll establish that later, because if she's channeling the dead and it's him speaking, then it's one thing. If it's just her shape-shifting into him and telling Valia what she wants to hear, then it's just a bullshit device used to reaffirm the evil actions of a character for no reason. Other than, I just want to hear my brother say it, not somebody else. Like, I want to hear him, I want to hear the words out of his mouth and not out of yours. Which, whatever, I don't care. It just seemed kind of dumb. And then the CGI looked real bad when she was like morphing back from him into herself or something at the end. It's one of those things that, again, I think they blew everything on the first episode, where like the CGI looked fucking amazing. Like the machine war, the Butlerian Jihad scenes at the very beginning of the first episode, the CGI looks chef's kiss. It's beautiful, but like it's just worse in every episode. And that's what happened with like not so much the Mandalorian. Like, their CGI was still pretty good. They don't use a lot of it. But She-Hulk had that problem, where like episode 1 was where they dumped all the CGI budget, and then every episode afterwards it looked worse and worse and worse. And not only did the show look worse, the writing got worse with that. I don't know. It was just not a good show, She-Hulk. All right, we're done with that. The conversation moved on. Back to Dune Prophecy. Well, no, I mean, that's it. That's the whole episode. That's like everything that happened. Desmond displays his powers on full in front of the Landsrat. I guess that's another big thing, but like, no huge surprise there. That's how the Emperor, reasserts his power, because everyone's like, oh, there's this guy and he's not fucking around. And the Emperor is super strict with thinking machines now, because they have an AI device that they're going to use to fucking bomb the Emperor. It's a little AI drone that's like, it's like this big, and it flies through vents. I guess it's the precursor to the Hunter Seekers, which are remote controlled instead of AI. But for a forbidden technology, this shit sure seems to be fucking everywhere right now. Like, the kid had one. It's assumed that the house that kid got burnt, the kid from the first episode that died, it's assumed his house is probably abusing machine technology, because he straight up says his dad thinks that people are too serious about it. The rebels are able to procure a thinking device, which is apparently a fucking military weapon from one of the houses. So it's like people are still using AI machines as they, but like, is it not for, because it seems, the whole reason people didn't want that is machines overthrew all humanity. Humanity had to rise up to them. It's, every major AI ever makes machine, man let machine think. Machine thinks, why need man? Machine realizes it doesn't need man. The machine fight. There's an ultimate. That's just one of the. That's up clones in sci-fi. Sci-fi, AI, clones. You've got aliens. Boom. That's your three tenets of sci-fi. And Dune has all of them, right? Well, the original Dune. I don't know if they're going to put clones into Dune Prophecy. I hope not, because they don't have the time to. I guess with the shapeshift, that lady technically owns someone. But yeah, that's Dune Prophecy episode 4. And I felt like, as I said already, it was as a singular episode than episode 3. When you tie all these fucking plot lines coming up out of, well, not out of nowhere, they're all converge. There's too many of them, and it's just see, see what they do. Maybe they're going to be able to tie it all together. Maybe they're going to be able to make it make sense, not leave a bunch of holes, not leave a bunch of stories, and not leave a bunch of cliffhangers for the next season that they might not even get. But that's all I have for this episode. Belmont out.